bought this piece of property with the intentions of clear cutting. He was going to chop down every single one of these ancient majestic trees for profit.
It's a big one.
Make a huge profit. Just like everyone else was doing this entire valley about the same time. But just before he brought his saws onto this property, he decided that he wanted his wife to see how beautiful these ancient, majestic redwood trees really were. So Joseph sent Anna a letter, and Anna received that letter in San Francisco, upon which Anna hopped on a buggy and embarked on a 3-day journey to get to here from San Francisco. Because, you know, they didn't have highways back then. In fact, they were lucky to have a dirt road. Upon that 3-day journey, Anna Welch passed through a couple of pieces of property that had already been completely clear-cut. So basically, she passed through a bunch of desolate wastelands, full of nothing but stumps as far as the eye could see. So as you can probably imagine, once Anna Welch arrived here on property and saw these massive, ancient, old-growth redwood trees standing tall and proud like they had been doing right here for over 2 million years already, she thought it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen in her entire life. Now when her husband Joseph told her about his intentions to chop down all these beautiful trees, well, she became awfully cross with him. Rightfully so, and said something along the lines of, "It's a shame you're going to chop down all these trees. Joseph, the way you're chopping them down, there ain't going to be nothing left for our future children to appreciate anymore." And on that day in 1867, something very, very special happened. Something that didn't really happen every single day of the week in that time period, and unfortunately to this day. That is that Joseph Welch listened to his wife. And thanks to Anna Welch, all these ancient trees were saved for future generations. In fact, the Welch family still owns this property. We just signed a 100-year lease with them in 1959, allowing us to build this train to showcase their beautiful trees.
Wow.
And no, they have absolutely nothing to do with the grape juice company. Side that we're about to pass. You may be able to see it from both sides of the train. The locomotive's just crossing it right now. That little trail on the right is actually the original right-of-way of this railroad. Before those trestles burned, the train made a little bit sharper of a turn here and went down into the woods over there. That goes to the top of the high bridge that burned down. So basically, if you're on the right-hand side of this train, you should be looking down that hillside right about now, because you'll have a pretty good overview of the burnt-down trestles and the switchback system from above, just like the left-hand side got to see earlier. I didn't tell you guys to look at that, right? Yeah, that was this train. This is the 4th trip of the day. I can't remember who I've said to leave.
Oh. Looking at all the trees. Orion looking at all the trees.
Our train is now broken.
Whoa.
Now we're just changing directions. I'm just pulling your lariat. We're heading down that switchback, that 11.5% grade, back to Spring Canyon, where those burnt down trestles are still standing just as charcoal. Now if you're wondering to yourself, hey Roaring Camp, why didn't you rebuild your cool bridges? Well, that's because we were scared they're going to get burned down again. Because we never actually caught the group that lit them on fire in the first place. In fact, the only reason why we know it was arson was because there were 9 other trestle fires in California. And they all lined up perfectly with ours, which is just a little too coincidental. On top of that, those 9 other trestle fires, well, they were all located on active logging railroads. Which lets us know a few things. But if you've been paying attention, you know that we have never been an active logging railroad. This was built solely to showcase these beautiful trees, not chop them down. But unfortunately, that group of misguided activists came down here without doing their research first. They took one look at our authentic recreation of a logging railroad and thought that we were actually logging. And the rest is, well, unfortunate history. So long story short, if you're ever going to participate in some extreme activism, please do everyone around you a favor and do your research first. Homework's very important to do. Now once we get down to Spring Canyon, you'll be able to see these 2 burnt down trestles a little more clearly. There are 2 bridges here. They're both very imaginatively named. The bridge to the right of us is the low trestle. The bridge above us is the high trestle.
Spring Canyon. Spring Canyon.
The train's going to cross that low trestle first. It goes across this shallow valley. It passes underneath the end of the high bridge over there. And then the train tracks hit that little shelf of dirt where you can still see the train tracks located. In fact, if you look back to the right, you can see the train tracks pretty clearly back there.